Right, good evening, welcome. If you do have a mobile phone, it's probably cooking you gently. And, right, a massive welcome to Andrew Johnson with the Subversion Agenda. Andrew is a researcher whose website is all the W's, checktheevidence.com. It's full of all manner of subjects for the inquiring mind. Tonight, Andrew invites us to check for ourselves that which we are being accused of and asked to pay for, namely climate change / global warming. This subject should be of interest to all, as we're being accused of putting our planet in jeopardy via our emissions of CO2. The unelected UN has decided that Agenda 21, with its CO2 restrictions, shall be handed to us along with the bill. Now thought of as a pollutant, CO2 is vilified by governments and tree huggers alike. But but what exactly is Agenda 21? Is it right? What is its range? Are there vested interests involved? Let's find out. Over to Andrew.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thanks to Robert and Chrissy for inviting me back to speak at New Horizons. Thanks to John and Brian for all their efforts, technical and otherwise, and all the thing they did, everything yesterday as well, wonderful. And Alex for doing the filming. All the people here making such a wonderful team together to do all of this. And I'm happy to sort of come along and just kind of stand here and show you what I've put together. I'm trying things out a little bit of a different way this time. For those that are interested in technology, which of course I am, because that's what I do some tutoring in, and this is all running off a Windows stick spectacularly. I'll know it wasn't a good idea to try it out here tonight, but I'm confident it will work. I'm confident it will work. You are guinea pigs indeed, so in this regard at least. I've got a couple of copies. I thought I'd sold out, but I had one upstairs, I had an extra one upstairs, and one got returned to me through the post. I've got 2 copies, which you can have if anybody's hasn't got this book yet, of Where Did the Towers Go? £25 on Amazon. What happened was I was selling these at cost to me. Somebody was buying boxes off me, or about 4 at a time, and then selling them on Amazon without my knowledge for £50 and not telling me. I now ended up putting them on Amazon myself because I hadn't figured out how to do a listing. But if you buy this on Amazon, because they take their cut, you're going to be paying like 30 odd quid on Amazon. So if anybody does in the audience tonight wants a copy of this book, which changes lives, it's meant to make you rethink a lot of things, not just 9/11, then I've got a couple of copies here tonight for £25. My book is free, 9/11 Finding the Truth. It's free in electronic formats. I've got another couple of paperbacks as well. I've got a few DVDs here last night, although a lot of them went to Probe yesterday, more than I expected. I do sell them from checktheevidence.com, my website. I send them out by post, so you can always find them on there. So with that quick intro, who am I? I think it's quite a few familiar faces here, so you know a bit about me. I currently work part-time for the Open University. I do a tutoring job, which is rated at 3 hours a week, and I do some needs assessments, which can be anything from 0 hours a week to sort of 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week. So it gives me a lot of time to look into this stuff. That's how I'm able to look at this stuff. I do earn a sufficient living from doing this work, so I don't get, I just get paid my expenses for doing this. I don't make any money from this. I'm from Yorkshire originally. I had a UFO sighting when I was about 10 years old, was always interested in that stuff. Discovered the Disclosure Project in 2003, and then I got into 9/11 research. Always been interested in these sorts of topics, aliens. I've got the replica of the Star Child skull there, if anyone wants to come and have a look at that, which has all been brought forward by Lloyd Pye, who I was a personal friend of. He passed on in 2014. That's a bit of background for those that weren't familiar with that. But tonight we're going to talk about the Subversion Agenda. What is it? Well, I think it's to do with what people like John Lennon were talking about. And a lot of people don't seem to be aware that that's what he actually said, and that's obviously why I played the clip, and that was in 1968. Clearly he was an intelligent man. And I found out as well that there's been talk recently. I've read an article about John Lennon's death being faked. He faked his own death. I'm still not sure what to think of that. The article by Miles Mathis is very interesting. But nevertheless, when Lennon was shot, or allegedly shot, was 3 weeks after Ronald Reagan was elected president. And of course, John Lennon became a big thorn in the side of the Nixon administration in the 70s. So I have to wonder, when the war agenda came in with Reagan, whether they just wanted him out of the way. So that's why he was moved out of the picture. Okay, so what we're going to look at today, now I've got a lot of material, and again I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight and to try and look at this with me. This whole presentation runs to about 3 hours, but I'm not going to do all of that. I'll probably skip over some things. I'll see how time goes, break after about an hour. But we're going to look at something called Agenda 21. We're going to look at aspects of the United Nations, which is the source of much of the thinking behind Agenda 21. And we're going to look at how it has an hidden effect on our daily lives, and what the ultimate goal of Agenda 21 appears to be, and why the basis, one of the key things is why the basis for Agenda 21 is flawed, and how it has been allowed to move forward due to propaganda and lies. We will look at topics other speakers are not connecting into this picture, such as the war on terror. This also connects into this, of course. Weather and climate issues, health treatments, and energy technology. These all connect into this picture. And the last point about energy technology is particularly important because Agenda 21 is primarily based on the lie and ongoing psychological operation of anthropogenic, that's human-caused, global warming, as Robert was saying in his introduction there. And I've got to express my thanks to all the researchers who put this information together, and I was actually given, I was asked to sort of put this presentation together by another lady called Menna that I've got to know, and it was her idea for me to put this together, particularly to just try and connect things together, not just the Agenda 21, but it's, for example, connecting it into what happened to the World Trade Center, because it is connected into that. But as you may sort of appreciate yourself, when you get into this stuff, and I was speaking to a couple of people just as we were starting there about how they try and communicate this information to other people, it's like the mythical Cassandra. And in Greek mythology, Cassandra was one of the princesses of Troy, the daughter of Priam and Hecuba, I can't even say it. According to the myth, Cassandra was astonishingly beautiful and blessed with the gift of foreseeing the future. So it's almost like we can foresee aspects of the future because we can see where things are going. And her curse was that no one believed her, a fact that weighed heavily on the destruction of Troy during the Trojan War. And she basically foresaw the Trojan War, and she told people, like when this Trojan horse was put outside the gate, she told them not to let it into the city. But they led it into the city, and as the myth goes, the city was captured. So I would say that Agenda 21 is a Trojan horse. It's essentially a Trojan horse, and people like me, well, not so much me, but you're going to hear from a person called Rosa Koire, who lives in California. She's like the Cassandra. She is trying to warn people that this is not what it appears to be. So that's what we're going to talk about, why it's not what it appears to be. Now, we're just going to take a brief look at the United Nations. And again, if you want any of this information, it's on my website. I've actually written this up into an article, so if you don't want to sit through a 2-hour video and you prefer text format, I've got an article on my website called Uncommon Purpose Agenda 22. It's my kind of play on words. And I've written all of this up, it's got all the links in to all the original links and so forth. But we're going to talk now about the United Nations. And it was, the name United Nations was coined in 1942, and it was coined by United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it was first used with the Declaration of the United Nations 1st of January 1942. And that was, of course, during the Second World War. And then October 1945, the United Nations officially comes into existence, and the representatives of 50 countries met in San Francisco at the United Nations Conference on International Organization to draw up the United Nations Charter. And the delegates deliberated on the basis of proposals worked out by the representatives of China, Soviet Union, UK and the US. And it happened in August to October 1944 was the sort of lead up to that. Now, one little point here I want to mention is that the United Nations General Assembly selected New York City as the permanent home of its headquarters in 1946. And of course, as some of you may know, John D. Rockefeller offered $8.5 million at that point to purchase a 6-block tract of land along the East River, which is where the headquarters is. Now, of course, some people have said, have been saying for many years, that the New World Order is what the UN is. It's being used to implement the New World Order, which, you know, you can make a strong argument for that, I think. And obviously there's just some photos there of the people there. Yeah, and I just thought it was interesting. I'm not going to read all of this out, but Eisenhower actually made this declaration of common purpose in 1957, and I'm sure you've heard Brian Gerrish talking about common purpose. So I just sort of put this slide in. I'm not going to read it all out because of this phrase is obviously quite old. And as I think you'll see, and as you'll hear from Rosa Koire, it appears that Agenda 21 is a form of global communism. And so common purpose, communism, that sort of thing, that's the sort of themes. And I think it is. But I also want to bring in a couple of things that I was made aware of a few years ago, but I've never put them into a presentation, but this was of course the right place to do it. And we're going to look at the ideology behind the UN in terms of their connections to the Lucis Trust and the Baha'i faith. Now, one assumes that the UN is a benign organisation, it's secular, there's no religion involved, and it's focused on bringing peace and security to the world. That's the impression that it tries to give. However, how many people know of its connection to the Lucis Trust? The Lucis Trust is dedicated to the establishment of a new and better way of life for everyone in the world, based on the fulfilment of the divine plan for humanity. Its educational activities promote recognition and practice of spiritual principles and values upon which a stable and interdependent world society may be based. The esoteric philosophy of its founder, Alice Bailey, informs its activities, which are offered freely throughout the world in 8 languages. And I don't know if you can read the caption on the logo. It says, "Let the plan of love and light work out." Wow, that's great. What's wrong with that, Andrew? Why are you bringing that to mind? That's wonderful. That's what we all want, isn't it? Surely, love and light, that's what we're all here for. But look at this logo. Look at where the lines cross. Look at what's in the middle of where you've got what it's suggestive of. You know, there's various things you can pick up from that. Now, the Lucis Trust, why is it called the Lucis Trust? Where did this name come from? Well, it was actually named after the publishing company which published Alice Bailey's material. And it was originally called the Lucifer Trust. The Lucifer Trust. And I won't read all of this slide, but it soon became clear that Alice Bailey's, to the Baileys, that some Christian religions or some Christian groups have traditionally, and this is from their website, this is all from Lucis Trust website, have traditionally mistakenly identified Lucifer with Satan. How do they know whether it's mistaken or not? And for this reason, the company changed its name in 1924 to the Lucis Publishing Company. Why would they want to do that? Surely if the Lucifer thing was a mistake, why didn't they just keep it as Lucifer, you know, and just explain the mistake? But they changed the name. The Arcane School started in 1923, and World Goodwill was established in 1932, and Triangles in 1937. You can find out about that on their website. Now, the London office of the Lucis Trust is close to Trafalgar Square in one of the city's most architecturally distinctive buildings, Whitehall Court, and after many years in a building close to the United Nations, the Geneva headquarters is now located on Rue Stand in the business district close to the lake. So they are connected. There is a close connection between the Lucis Trust and the UN. So it's kind of cagey, but they do admit it on their own website. I'm not just plucking this out of thin air. And we've got this strange thing as well, which was read out by Alana Roosevelt, which was Franklin D. Roosevelt's wife. I'm just going to play this. It's a couple of minutes long.
Today is World Invocation Day, a day when millions of people throughout the world are joining together to say the Great Invocation, a prayer which belongs to no group or individual, but to men and women of goodwill everywhere. The Sunday editor of the New York Times has said, "We need, in addition to the A-bomb and the H-bomb, what I call the S-bomb, the spiritual bomb. You are invited to share in the meditation of the great invocation as it is repeated by an outstanding American, Mrs. Franklin D. Roosevelt.
This is Mrs. Franklin D. Roosevelt speaking from New York within the United Nations building. We're living today in a troubled world. In many parts of the world, people have a sense of discouragement as to whether they will ever solve their difficulties. And it seems to me that those of us who feel that a spiritual leadership is necessary in the world are looking for ways in which to express what we feel. And someone sent me the other day an invocation. It is called the Great Invocation. And it seems to me to express the aspirations held by many people throughout the world, so I'm going to read it to you on this program. The Great Invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the Master knows and serves. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
And so this line where it says, the purpose which the masters know and serve, she said the master knows and serves, and restore the plan on earth. What plan on earth? What is this plan? Who is this God? Because remember, this is not, they talk about Christ returning to the earth, but this is not Christianity, this is the UN. They're supposed to be secular. And I was also tipped off by a chap down in Penzance called Rob Ryder, and he'd been doing a bit of research on this sort of area, and he found out that the only sort of recognised religious faith with an office within the UN that's recognised by the UN and works with the UN is the Baha'i faith. And again, it's on their website. Since 1947, the Baha'i of the US UN office has supported the work of the United Nations and its efforts towards the planetization of mankind. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? And this is from the Baha'is website. Right? And again, I'm not just making this up, this is their website here. So they do acknowledge that they're interwoven with the UN. It also engages the US Baha'i community in UN-related campaigns, and it works closely with many other non-governmental organisations, NGOs, we're going to hear more about them later, at the UN on these topics. And there's various links on there. So what is this Baha'i faith? Now, when I posted this video and this article, actually a guy who was a Baha'i wrote to me and he said, oh, no, we're not involved in any of this New World Order stuff, I didn't say that. I'm just pointing out that on the Baha'is website, they promote the UN. They promote their links to it. I didn't say that the Baha'is are involved in implementing the New World Order. I don't have any evidence for that. But I'm just saying it's curious, this planetization of mankind, what's that? They don't really define what it is. That's what struck me as odd. And this again is a combination. This is from another website. It's not from the Baha'i website. But I think this is meant to be a kind of collage of religious emblems and things. And it just struck me as, because you've got this Star of David in the middle, and that I suppose what's caught my eye,